FRIEREN, you're done for, you're done, kid. There's no getting around it. You're gonna put up a fight, but you're gonna have to lose, and I think that's the only thing that we can kind of expect to happen here. That's all that we should kind of hope for, because if not, we're gonna lose a lot of people, probably people that we don't necessarily care as much about, but we're gonna lose a lot of people, and we don't want that to happen. Prediction is going to be FRIEREN puts up a really incredibly hard fight. Fern goes up against her. They drop some sort of plan where whether the actual our FRIEREN, the real one, goes in against this fake version, because she'll kind of know what she's doing, so she'll be able to like kind of keep her, I guess, stuck for a little bit, which will ultimately allow Fern to use the things that we've discovered over the past 20 something episodes now, and we've talked about her ability to fire quicker than FRIEREN, her ability to conceal mana and her presence and all that good stuff, and be able to get by is what I'm kind of assuming is going to happen here. Sneak through the back and do something, and then at the last moment when the other FRIEREN is occupied, Fern is going to be able to blast her away and, finish her off, I guess, and we'll be able to move into the next stage of the exam. That's kind of what I'm assuming will happen. Now, the others might play a role in it. They might mess around. They might have some fun in it, and we might all put up a fight together. I don't know, but I'm assuming it's going to end in a sort of way like that. I'm expecting this to be visually impressive because we've been kind of holding off for a moment like this, I feel like, again. So it almost makes sense that it would come now. And yeah, I'm very excited for that. If all that goes the exact way I expect, which usually isn't the case, but if it does, where do we go from there? Because there are other clones that we haven't necessarily met yet. The Fern one is one of them, which is one I think that everybody should really be kind of concerned about too. So where did she really play a role in this? And is that even going to be something, or are we just going to kind of skip out on it and be like, oh, we just got lucky that we didn't end up meeting this one? I don't know. But I'd be interested if that is something that comes up after maybe we are successful here, and seeing the way that that ends up going. If you like it all, then like and subscribe to me not to make me feel free. Stick around for the discussion. Leave me comments with this episode or series is a Toho animation show. They usually block these. I am no longer putting in the effort to kind of go around and do all that stuff, so the audio for the anime is going to be muted throughout the entirety of this. If you would still like to watch it with audio, check the link in the description. If you don't want to watch it with audio and you don't really care enough, just watch throughout the entirety of this video. The option is there for your choosing. You do what you want. I'm giving you the option to do both. do what it is that you desire. Let's be going with episode 25. We don't really have any other choice. I love the wording she uses here too. It's interesting. Like, I could defeat her. I could get past this. Nah. A fatal vulnerability. So are we going to talk to her about her vulnerable spots? Oh, buddy. Just leaking out. Rip. I thought she was a pacifist, I don't even care you don't have a mind. Your whole body should be like that. Yeah, but is it better that one of you die and the other doesn't? Like, what are we doing here? Enough to help him until we get out of here, at least. Just leaving all the blood stains throughout. Well, that helps us in our coordination here. Yeah, unveil your secrets about your soul. We find the source, we take them down, type thing. Not each individual version, but just them themselves. Who'd you encounter? Ah. You had the advantage. Why did he talk to her like that too? As if she wouldn't if she didn't have all that. No. Hmm. Before we made up our minds. I mean, you saw what he was trying to do to her the last time. Ah. So it creates these as ways to kind of gotcha. So distract this version enough to sneak Fern likely through. Ah, never mind. Ah, my God. Well, there's no going around it then. Never mind. I take back everything. Take it all back. There's more throughout that are gonna come. Yeah. Ah, yeah. So they're all coming along. So we'll meet up if we take too long. And it can be a way that we never actually have to meet like the Fern one or a bunch of the other ones because they could just be lurking throughout and on their way at some point if we're quick enough. So we got to get our stuff together, yeah, lads. Okay. It ain't gonna be easy. I didn't notice anything. It looked like she just defended it to me. Look how unbothered she is. Hmm. This is the most risk that we're gonna have to go through here, and you're just a little embarrassed you won't say it? Unreal. Oh, can you guys please just work together? So would it really be just like as simple as we gotta overwhelm it and then it can't detect at a certain moment and we'll be good? Well, I mean, look at all these magic users coming together and using their wisdom. Oh no, what the hell are you? Oh, the thrill you get from doing this. He's out for the day. We're just dragging him along. No, he's fine. I'm so happy we're getting to see all of them fight together, even if it's just a little bit. It's been a while. Oh, can these two please settle down? Are you ready? Let's go. Yeah, we will. Nothing's impossible. And arguably the most difficult enemy to be defeated, I'd assume, right? Okay, so they're gonna do twos. Perfect. Yeah, I guess. Don't have to account for what everybody else is doing at the moment either. And we want to avoid that. So if anybody has to, it should be us. Okay. Hmm. Oh, look at you two, always together. Time to see if I will be correct. Lock in. Also, this is good because nobody else gets to see them all fight. What they're all capable of. There you go. And now you work all together. You get what you want. Everybody figures out who's good for who. I love it. Oh, this is fantastic. Everything we can need, it's all coming together. It's just the bad suspicion of where the fern one is always gonna be stuck in the back of my mind here. Oh, I was confused at first. They're flying. Oh, that's so cool. Well, you'd be able to hold yourself off as well as anyone, right? God. Hey. You distract yourself for the moment that you'll be able to get Fern through. Oh. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that'll be enough. Ah. I mean, it's new for like everyone. Gotcha, gotcha. You're simply different. Mm-hmm. Yep. Awesome, dude. This is your big moment. Way bigger than your one 15 episodes ago. We just skip through. Oh. Hmm. Huh. Yeah. Which is a wonderful thing for some, but not so much for others. Yeah, which is exactly what she doesn't want. Yep. Yep. Some of you want peace and the others don't. So is the creation of the test and everything that we're kind of doing and restricting certain people to go through certain areas and do whatever it shall be simply another tool in a way to kind of limit the people who have abilities to learn things due to the fact that everybody else seemed to be able to kind of learn it It allows kind of limitation almost of who has what kind of authority and ability to do certain things, and it keeps that like specialty, I'd assume. Hmm. Huh. Oh, and we're gonna little versions. Yep. Completely different feelings towards magic. Not even for military use, say. Just for, yeah, just for dreams and fantasies, right? Just doing simple good deeds here and there. Mm. So she dedicated her life to it. Hmm. Yep. And hers was to speed that process along as much as she can. Yep. We can perfectly time out the things we want to do, whereas they have to go, 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 go. Wow. Mere thousand is insane. Because every now and then somebody like the people you've been with, or now, as we're probably flashback through, like Fern can come along. And that's not a fun sight, is it? Or a human. Yep. A little Fern. Mm. And then right back into it. All in an instant, the things that she sees and goes through her head, and Fern's there. Fucking beautiful. And down goes the FRIEREN, or at least that's what we're being led to believe. I can't be sold. Like, you can't just tell me that she's done, right? You can't just like put a white light in front of us and just have her like kind of disappear from the site that nobody can see her, and then end the episode and make me assume that's the case. Can you? It just doesn't feel right. Just feels like it'd be wrong. It feels like everything went a little too understandable, a little too predictable up to this point, right? That just it makes too much sense almost. And sometimes that's necessary. Sometimes you need to be straightforward in these types of scenarios, and you need to push through with those things. But sometimes, man, it can be fun if we don't end up going that route. Man, it can be way more fun if we end up doing something else. So it makes me curious. I feel like it would be over simply because we got another test to get through. So unless they plan to do something like really short, because we don't have a lot of episodes left, I don't know what their entire plans are here. But who knows? We could really pull something together. So I'm not too sure. I think if I made my full prediction, I'd assume that she's not gone, like that she didn't die here. I'd assume we're gonna continue this, and we're being misled and misdirected here. But entirely could be wrong. And I'm not actually angry if we go the other way and that she is, and then we just move past it into the next stage. The only thing I would be upset about is if this FRIEREN clone never comes into division, because that's the one I've been hyping up for 3-4 episodes now that I've been really wanting to see, and we haven't gotten it. So I would like to see that. But I'm not angry regardless of the direction that we kind of go. This episode was fantastic overall. Everything about it. The only thing I can say I didn't like maybe completely love was the cutoff right before the final moment with a very, very long flashback as opposed to like something that's like nice and sudden. But at the same time, I don't think I dislike it too much. I just like, I don't know. I think I just wanted that instant gratification that I like, didn't get because we got like kind of prolonged with like a 7-minute flashback of a conversation. But all of that was very interesting and entertaining, and does a lot to kind of build up the other things and the things that have kind of progressed throughout this world, that it doesn't make me angry or anything. And I'm kind of pleased with that. And arguably that makes for the entire discussion, I guess, that we're probably going to have here, and the entirety of like what is so important or good about this episode overall. What it ended up becomes from that conversation between the idea of where exactly somebody like Sari and somebody like FRIEREN end up standing on their thoughts of what magic should be used for and what they like so much about it, and somebody like Flom and her use, like, understanding for it, and then kind of giving us a broader picture at the world and the lives of somebody like elves and somebody like humans, and what exactly intentions and purposes, and a whole bunch of just like other really just important things, I would say, for certain people, and why certain humans can kind of come along that can be so special over time, and somebody like Fern can kind of come along and be the type of person that she is, and it all climaxes to build up to a point that would lead to the understandable defeating of the FRIEREN clone here, which all ends up working out really, really, really excellent. More on that when we get back through it. We will go back to the episode here though instead, and discuss the whole situation and the things that ended up occurring in this moment. Basically, Buddy's able to escape, very harmed in the process, as the other guy kind of gets left behind, fighting the other clone that they were going against, and struggling in the process. Of course, we don't know if he's dead or alive, and we're just going to speculate that he ended up getting defeated, because why else? Well, I mean, what else would he end up doing in that process? So we have to heal him. And then finally Duncan gets his wish, right? And I'm assuming Sense also gets her wish, as she is the one who talks about not wanting people to fight and wanted to see them kind of work together and put egos aside and be able to like accomplish and overcome a whole bunch of these different things, as opposed to just working on your own, figuring out how to work with others and do all of this stuff. She's finally able to see kind of all this come along as she just stands back there watching, and Denkin gets his dream of like everybody just working together and easily trying to overcome all of this, as we all end up sitting down and drawing up strategy, drawing up plans of what exactly we're going to do to defeat this and to hold off the others that are ultimately going to come, discussing the idea that there's a whole bunch that are within this dungeon that are going to slowly come down to this point and are going to meet up, as we have plenty that we've seen going against others already that we haven't been able to defeat, as we've seen plenty that we haven't been able to see at all, as we have other members such as Uel and Land not even being with us at all, and being completely disconnected. I mean, and then the entire group with Werble and all the others are not even over here either. So we have plenty of other people that can still come down and possibly come from behind and be able to help us, or can take out others while we're not actually here. So there's less for these people to end up defeating over time. So there's still more people to kind of come together and flesh out their stories, I guess, of how these things end up going a little bit more. But it is nice to see so many of the others that weren't together at one point now coming together, and everybody coordinating some sort of plan and using different knowledge and things that we've had over time to be able to discuss this and figure it out. We talk about how the actual one creating all these things, the thing behind these doors that we're going to try and get to allow us to reach this deepest point and defeat ultimately this and clear this dungeon, is not that powerful, not something that we should necessarily worry about actually going against ourselves, and it's just actually defeating the clones. The defeation of this would allow for the FRIEREN clone to end up going away, but the problem with that is the FRIEREN clone has a little trap and something with their lives staked on it that isn't going to actually end up letting us through. It's just not going to end up happening. So we have to end up taking this direct approach, and after we do that, we'll be able to kind of break through the seal almost and clear through the entirety of this, and then the dungeon will be done and cleared, which is a pretty smart and fun thing just to kind of think about. And I like this of like being able to risk your lives on this, and being able to put up like locks almost and seal this thing away, where we can actually just attack that instead, but we literally can't because this person's literally defending it with their life. And I think it's just a cool extra way of bringing up like this thing won't be hard once we get past this point, but we do need to get past this point in order for that to happen. The instant moment of Fern just taking her staff out here and being able to fire something off instantly against FRIEREN while like everybody's not even prepared or ready for that to actually happen is fantastic, just to showcase her ability to shoot so quick and like not actually care, and having her trust within FRIEREN, and also FRIEREN being so okay and trustworthy of like Fern with what she's trying to do. At this moment, we're able to find the fatal vulnerability within her, which seems to just be something as simple as the moment that a spell is fired off by her, so her defensive spell in this moment, she's able to have her entire mana detection of other things around here be kind of not present, not as she's like occupying like her space in her brain, almost of focusing on what exactly that she's doing, that leaves an opening in that exact moment. Unless they said, I could be wrong, unless they said it was when somebody else fires one off at her, that like when she's taking notice of what they're doing, that for a split second she gets left like not being able to focus on what she's doing. But I think it is when she's casting one on her own. And that's like a big thing basically, because that can help us finding that one vulnerability that we've been looking for this whole time. And I talked about a lot last time how if she knows herself so well, and if all these people know themselves so well, they should be able to like step aside themselves and notice this is the problem with me, or this is the thing that defeats me, or the thing that I always leave open, or I need to improve upon, and be able to attack and focus on that, or have others be able to do that. And that's why this teamwork element can work so well. So of course in this moment, this is a great thing for us to pick up on. The fact that she literally didn't want to explain that or tell that to anybody because she was embarrassed by it is insane, and I absolutely love that. But then we drop a whole bunch of plans. It was so fantastic to be able to get to see all of them working together and actually having and going on a fight here, as opposed to just like normal dialogue and like normal little journey that we're doing. I wish this was a little longer, but it's still great regardless. And also just the funny little moments here of Hyder getting like completely eaten alive basically by this thing and being out of commission for the entirety of this, I think is great. The plan is to keep everyone on the outside and go against the other clones that are coming down low here and just send in these two. This is basically what I expected to happen, and I talked about before the episode started. FRIEREN distracts and those things that'll best kind of keep this thing occupied, and is the best person to match up for it. Fern is able to sneak behind while they're kind of doing something, and then due to what they found out this episode about what the vulnerabilities are, in that split second when she can't detect it, Fern will be completely eliminated due to her presence being something that she can eliminate better than basically everyone that we've kind of seen, get around and be able to attack, which works out perfectly. And that is what happens. Visually, the coloring, just everything is absolutely beautiful here, and it makes these scenes so great. The walking in this moment is so badass and so cool, and I absolutely love it there. FRIEREN being so happy here about the strategies being something so similar to what they've actually done before, and then talking about the use of Zoltrak, and that's so cool to be able to bring something that we learned so early on, and Fern learned so early on, and bring all of that full circle and allow that to be kind of brought in here, as it is something that humans have to adapt to much quicker, and she's always kind of had it within her life as opposed to FRIEREN not being able to. So we're not playing into the everybody had this much time to kind of grow accustomed to it and get like used to it. It's almost like it's ingrained in this person because they are so young when they are learning and picking up on it. So it's almost like somebody who I'd assume a comparison that could be good would be like somebody who's like, say, I don't know, 10 versus somebody who had like 10 years of like learning like a language or something, right? Typically, people can pick up on these things and understand these things a lot easier when they've kind of been grown from birth, basically, of like learning these things throughout their entire life, as opposed to trying to like pick up on this new skill or develop something like that a lot later in life. Well, it is easier because your brain capacity and everything's a lot like larger, and you being able to actually sit down and like do all of that. If you were to spend the exact same amount of time, you'd probably end up surpassing them. But the problem is usually you don't, and this person just has it like such a natural feeling almost for it. At least that's the idea that I've kind of come between within life, and maybe my comparison's completely wrong and that's not actually what happens with that stuff, but I've always kind of been told that, or had that understanding through other things that I've like read into and stuff about something, say with the language or with a lot of other skills and things that are typically better for people to learn a lot earlier on within life, because it makes things a lot easier for them to slowly pick up on. So having this thing that's kind of implanted within her from such a young age, and always kind of having that idea of basic attack magic and all this other stuff, makes it so much simpler for her to be able to do. We get this entire conversation, Flam pass, and leaves a will behind, basically just a promise almost, or a declaration of the promise that she once made before, and the accomplishments that's coming of that, and wanting to expand the world, allow everybody to learn magic, allow all of this stuff to happen, which is a beautiful thought, right? Us being able to grow such a large number of people, be able to put ourselves in this situation where we're able to grow a whole bunch of talent, and then be able to set them out and go after the Demon King and all his forces and everything, and enter this era of peace that ultimately Flam said at one point that FRIEREN would be able to lead us to, which is something that Syria clearly does not want us to go to, and still to this day after this point did not want that to happen either. So ends up taking lots and lots of issue with that being the case. We go on an entirety of a talk here about the way that Flam loved magic and her reasons for it being such simplistic spells and all these other things, but the hatred almost that Siri has towards this, of people being able to use this for purposes that aren't great in her mind, right? Having somebody like a human who has their time span sped up immensely, right? Somebody who lives for near eternity as an elf can take their time almost and not feel that rush, and not feel that urgency, and not feel that almost like instant I need to go and do these things because I have no time. And while I'm assuming if they really did put their foot down and go out of their way to really try and learn these things, her natural or understanding of like humans can really push themselves to these limits because they can comprehend the much shorter lifespan that they would end up having, as opposed to somebody like an elf who like literally probably can't even comprehend how long that it is they're actually going to be able to be alive for. So they would assume that they have many more years and much longer in their lives to kind of go on for. So of course a human would be able to be like, I don't have much time, I have to really put all these plans into motion now, and it gets them moving a lot quicker. And Flam was the definition of somebody who would basically go out of their way and end up doing that along the way. I mean, we get to see FRIEREN wasted thousands and thousands of years and not being able to do anything and living in the shadows until a group comes out of here, and in the span of 10 years fulfills her life more than she had in the entire span up to that point. The ability for them to jam pack so much within their lives and push through and do so much in such a short amount of time in comparison to each other is unreal. So of course it scares her, right? It scares her to a point that we need to protect magic and not allow this to be something that everybody can use. We need to keep it something that is entirely special. We need to keep it this thing that only us as elves, or only us as like these special mages up to this point, can actually learn and understand, because if these other people get it in their hands, the developments and the things that come of it are going to basically wipe us extinct, or wipe us to be useless over time, and that's not something that we necessarily want or we need. And I think that's such a wonderful thought process for her to have, right? It's entirely correct. There's nothing wrong with her thinking that way. The only wrong thing comes from like a moral standpoint of not wanting to use this gift that you have to expand it and then create good and create this era of peace and all this other stuff. But it just like where she falls on it is entirely different than that. So it makes sense using that comparison as well. Of the Demon King will either defeat you or a human will. We know the Demon King ended up not doing it, so a human will in actual present tense here of being able to see this fake version of herself end up dying, or what we're assuming is the case. and being that human and Fern being the one that is, after we've just built them up and explained the things that somebody like Flan was able to do over all these years. Now having somebody like Fern, who is growing to be something so special up to this point, be able to do that as well, really cool. But also like almost signifies something to me of like, if somebody were to ever come and Siri were to be somebody who got killed or went out of her way to do whatever it is, a human would be the one who ends up doing that as well, with no Demon King around. And for us to almost, if she goes rogue to a point that like she doesn't die of like a natural death, and instead we end up seeing her go kind of, I don't know, use her powers and her knowledge and all that stuff for evil, we end up getting to see somebody like Fern come in, or somebody like another human that we're kind of growing towards, or even the entire party of FRIEREN, and they'll be the ones who ultimately would end up taking her out, would be my assumption at some point throughout the entirety of the series. Well, I don't think that's the case at all, and I think that likely we'll either convince her or flip her to our side, or let her live in peace, or she'll die out of natural causes at some other point in life, or like something will happen. I'm assuming if we do go that route, or we turn her to be a little bit more and we kind of go against each other, it would be a human who also ends up defeating her. And I think it sets up stakes at some point that in the future, at the end of the story, likely if we get to a point where FRIEREN ends up needing to be taken out for whatever reason, and we don't want to end things on like a happiness, which I don't believe to be the case, I would assume it would have to be one of them as well. My theory, this is just my thoughts I've been thinking of for a little bit now, but my idea is the story will likely, this is for like the entirety of it, not just the season, but I would see the story likely like ending at a point where we can have two endpoints, one being everybody ends up getting to the end, and then we end up having like our conversations and all that, and everything's kind of fulfilled, and we just cut there and end it there. Or we end up doing something, we flash through the end to a point where like Stark and Fern and everybody end up growing old, and FRIEREN has to kind of outlive and see that, but we're able to see how much more she kind of cherished and appreciated the actual life of these people, and being with them throughout the entirety of the time, as opposed to how she might have treated the others around her that impacted her so much more throughout the other years of her life, and how much she's kind of grown and appreciated that thing for herself, is kind of where I expect the actual story to end. But I think it would be cool if we also push her to a point that we have like a almost replica of this at some other point, and somebody like a human comes along, or somebody like Fern has to like, I don't know, something ends up coming out of it. I don't know. I just I think it could be like a cool little thing. We flash back out at this moment. We let her kind of do something here, and at that moment detection goes down. Fern breaks through and blasts her away. And we'll have to end up holding off and seeing there. I don't know what's gonna happen. I really don't. I'm excited to see in the direction that they take, if we actually have this clone still alive, if we do not, if we're going to continue this battle, if the others are ever going to arrive, if we're ever going to see the Fern one, if we're going to see the battles on the outside. There's plenty of questions I have about exactly how they're going to do this. Also, what the third one is that we're going to be able to squeeze within 3 to 2.5 episodes. So I don't know, but I'm excited for whatever that will end up being. It's enough yapping for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you liked it all, like and subscribe to me. Feel free to check out the videos and channel. Let me comment on this is a series. I'll be back next week for episode 26. You guys have a good one though. See ya.